Hi, I'm Jordan Fairchild with Spruce Creative Studio, and I am here in my home in Durham, North Carolina to share with you a newly remodeled fireplace that's behind me that I did with my husband.
And I'm Andrew Fairchild, Jordan's partner and resident handyman. I provide the labor to execute Jordan's ideas.
In this series of videos, we'll show you step by step how you too can transform an outdated fireplace into a clean, modern design, all for under $1,000.
So we finished the painting. In this next video, I'm going to show you the tiling process. First step involves putting a layer of thin-set mortar over the concrete board, and then we're going to put our tile over that. We're going to use a tile leveling system to make sure there's no lippage, basically one tile that's above or below the next tile. Then we're going to use grout, and then we're going to seal it. So I'm using this vinyl tile trim along the edge of where I'm going to put my tile, so you get a really clean line. If you look at DIY projects in which you don't put a tile trim down, the edge of where you're putting your tile looks pretty sloppy. I marked the center of the concrete board with a Sharpie. This way when I start tiling, it will be even on either side. We selected this 8x8-inch concrete tile from Wayfair. You're going to want to order a little extra given normal irregularities, errors, and to allow for tile cutting. I'd also order a sample beforehand, as returns, although possible, are very expensive to ship back. Especially with these pattern tiles, I'd lay them out beforehand to ensure you get the pattern that you want. Apply mortar with the ridges all going in the same direction. You only need to mortar a small area where the tile is going to lie. I made the mortar a little bit thinner to add drying time. You then want to back butter your tiles. This is going to ensure proper adhesion when you put it down. Again, I'm using the 1/4 by 1/4 notch trowel and Custom Building Products thin-set mortar. Please see the link in the bottom of the video for how to mix the mortar and what materials to use. When placing your tile down, move it back and forth to get the ridges underneath to collapse. I'm using the Spin Doctor tile leveling system. I'm using 1/16 inch spacers because I want to minimize grout lines. Place at least 2 spacers on each edge, slip them underneath the tile, and press them up against the tile edge. The reusable caps easily spin on. Here's a view of the cap and spacers from above and from the side after the first row of tiles was complete. These spacers will ensure a level tiling without lippage. You can also use these spacers to ensure perpendicular tiles have space for grout. Here's a view after all the tiles have been placed. You can remove the Spin Doctor caps after 24 hours to ensure the grout is dried. To cut the tile, I used an MK70 wet tile saw. I didn't include a video of that, but there's a link in the bottom of the screen to the industry video. It's fairly straightforward to use, although a little messy. To remove the caps, use a rubber mallet and tap in a direction parallel with the grout line. So I finished removing the spacers. Next step is going to involve grout. I'll show you how to do that. The materials you need include a gum rubber grout float, sponges to remove the excess grout, and the grout itself. I'm using Mapai Flex Color CQ in white. Then you also need a large bucket of water to wring out the sponge. At 45-degree angles, use the rubber float to work the grout into the spaces in between the tiles. Work only a few spaces at a time, then wipe off the excess using your sponge. If you grouted the entire space then try to come back, the grout will have dried on top of the mortar and will be a pain to get off. Immediately after grouting a section, use your sponge. Wipe at a 45-degree angle. Manipulate it often to use unused areas.
Go back and forth frequently between the tile and the bucket of water. Wring it out completely. You want your sponge to be damp and not wet, as getting it too wet will ruin the grout in between the tiles. You want to get off as much as possible, as leftover dry grout will leave a thin sheen, dulling the look of your tile. Now, the finishing touches. Along the edge, there can be space between the tile and wood. There can also be imperfections in the wood itself, in my case from stain that was covered by the old hearth. This is where wood trim and caulk are useful.
So we're adding some trim work around the tile. We bought some wood pieces. We stained it to match the color of the floor. Then we added 2 coats of polyurethane. Also at the corners, we used a miter box and a handsaw just so the edges meet. And so we'll put some wood glue on the back to put it down.
Add wood glue in a zigzag motion along the length of the trim and then press firmly down. I prefer using wood glue, as using nails will often leave visible holes on the surface.
So I'm using this Caulk U siliconized acrylic caulk. It comes in either U for unsanded or S for sanded caulk. They also come in the same color as your grout. Just gonna pop the top off and attach it to a caulk gun, and then we'll get started.
Apply it in a long, smooth motion. You can go over it later with your finger. Finally, the last step involves sealer. Cement tile in particular takes stain very readily, so it is a good idea to apply sealer, specifically this 511 Porous Plus sealer. We applied 2 coats using a normal painter's brush. Make sure your surface is 100% clean, including no excess grout, as once the sealer is applied, it's hard to go back. So there you have it, the finished product. Here's a pic with the fireplace slightly done up. Visit housebeautiful.com for more details on this fireplace renovation.
Here's a list of the products we used in this video. Click on the links below for more videos in this series. Thanks so much for watching. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and my website for more home renovation projects and interior design inspiration.